Okay.
So a nice exercise to start with to help you maybe think of some patterns or just to get you playing around with the idea of patterns is cutting out some black and white shapes and then putting them on the opposite background. I'm using silhouette paper that is black on one side and white on the other side. You could use any, black and white construction paper or just really any contrasting colors to kind of get that effect. So, as I said, I'm going to cut this out of black and white silhouette paper. So I have both colors, but you could also just cut some out of black and some out of white. And I want to cut a bunch of pieces that are the same or similar. So I'm going to fold my paper up so that I can sort of cut a shape once and get multiple pieces. So that'll give me 8. I'll start there. And you can cut a specific shape if you like. I'm just going to sort of pick a non-representational shape. I'm just pinching the paper together here so that these pieces will stay fairly similar or nearly the same. Cut the end off there. And just to make that a little, give it a little more, make it a little more dynamic, I'm just going to cut a shape out of the center there. And actually then I can use those pieces as well, so pull those out and set them aside. So now I have this shape and I just cut out 8 of these. I'm going to work on this white paper, so I'll flip these so the black side is facing up. Though making monochromatic designs, putting this white on the white, you can have a really nice effect too, so I would try playing with that. I'm just going to look at these as black pieces on my white background for right now. And then I have these pieces that sort of complement that were cut out of the center. So something you can think about is just playing around with the placement of these on the paper. And thinking about then how they interact with each other. And I'd recommend to start, using a whole 8.5 by 11 piece of paper to give you some space to kind of play around. So you can see just by doing this, taking these shapes and moving around, you can already start to see a pattern developing. And eventually you can glue them down and start doing other things with them. But I'd recommend just making a whole bunch of different rearrangements of the same pieces to sort of see how they react to each other differently. So I'm just going to take these and play with them in a few different ways. Actually, they're white on the other side, so let's just take a look at them in white and see how they look on the black. Making kind of a path with these. And then again, I can use these other little pieces. I could flip it and use the white to complement this, or now even put them on top, these smaller black pieces onto the white pieces. So just a really, super simple shape with the middle cut out, and already I have this much kind of material to play around with and to get inspired from. So I'd recommend doing this a few times with as I said, full pieces of paper, spreading out the patterns in different ways around them, cutting out more shapes and seeing if they complement. Do you like them with the shapes that you have or not? It's a good way to just see sort of feel out your own aesthetic, what things appeal to you, what you think looks good together, and to kind of give you some ideas for some other patterns, or maybe how you want to make a pattern going forward. Just cut out some more shapes here to play around with. I kind of like that effect of sort of cutting this triangle in half with these little half circles. So play around with these, find a few examples you like or sort of styles that you like, and then there's a few things you can do from here. But something that Larry often says to me in this class, and that I think is helpful to remember, is just continuing to work with an idea. So these shapes, even if you're not crazy about them as a one-off, blowing them up, making them into stamps, finding other ways to play with them you might feel differently about it. So I would just encourage you, even if you don't love this thing, to sort of keep playing with this idea and try it out in different ways to see if there is a version of it that you like. So something you can think about is once you kind of come up with a style or a pattern that you're okay with or that you like, is you can glue them down. So this is white construction paper with just some black pieces glued down. And as you can see here, I kind of made some main pieces that I liked, but then just filled in a lot because I wanted a really busy surface. If you have a copier at home, something you can do is blow them up or shrink them down and repeat them. So this is an example of, let's see, I can find this piece right here. So I think this is just copied 1-to-1 ratio, but with eight pieces on a paper. So then I can, use these for something else, but they have the same motif. Another thing you can do is shrink them down, and if your copier has a reverse function, this just allows you to reverse the colors without having to make another one. So for this example, I took this piece, shrunk it down, repeated it with like a tile pattern on the copier a whole bunch of times, and then I used this piece here as an inspiration to make a stamp from, and you'll see there's a video of how to carve or how to make stamps from foam, and that's how I made this stamp. But again, it was just maintaining this idea and keeping it going. Rather than make a new stamp, I wanted to take something directly off of this original and add it back onto here. So I just made that stamp and then stamped over these pieces. And here's just another version of the same thing, that a different part highlighted in tile. And then a really nice thing is you can like cut these up, make them all individual cards, and then have the same card to play with stamps on top of, or to respond to paint. Here's just a couple other examples. I love geometric shapes, hexagons. So I just cut out a bunch of hexagons and placed them on here. I like this shape because I felt like once I had it that I could combine it over and over again in multiple ways. So I made a photocopy, reversed the color, and then just cut out the exact shape, or the shape. So that I have something to play with just on a surface and give me some things to think about. So it's a good way to, you know, I think be able to play in space a little bit more. Just cutting out these pieces and moving them around, it's very, very tangible, and I think gives a lot of playfulness to your patterns.